Breakups are quite possibly one of the worst feelings you will ever experience. I've spent thousands of hours reading books on psychology and philosophy, researching breakups on YouTube, coaching my clients through their breakups to reach one inescapable conclusion. It feels impossible to get over your ex because you're grieving someone who is still alive, and that can be harder to deal with than someone who has actually passed away. When my dog Kenzie unexpectedly became ill on the Friday and was euthanized on the Monday 2 years ago, I was devastated and I couldn't stop crying for 4 days. However, I knew he wasn't coming back, and that gave me a sense of closure. So when your ex is saying they loved you on the Friday and they dumped you on the Monday, the pain is so savage. Being euthanized seems like a day at the beach compared to what you're going through, because they are still alive and they left you with the hope that they may come back. I have 3 killer tips coming up in this video that's going to help you move towards reconciliation or to move on, depending on your situation. But I am willing to bet you've been going down the YouTube rabbit hole, endlessly doom scrolling and absorbing every video that promises a way to get your ex back or to instantly get over your heartbreak and time will cure all. I get it. I completed YouTube when I was going through my breakup 4 years ago. Every video had the red progress bar underneath it. And to be honest, most of it was shit advice, and it kept me stuck for a very long time. Your ex leaving you isn't code for you to try harder, so no amount of you trying to spike their anxiety with 30-day no contact bullshit or text your ex back programs is going to work. In this video, I am going to tell you a few things that aren't discussed that often because it doesn't sell well, and therefore you can't be pitched a 30-day get your ex back program. My name is Nick, this is The Love Fix, and if you need additional help or resources, there is a link in my description that will take you to my one-to-one coaching services and my other social medias. Right, let's get straight into today's video. Before getting into the practical tips coming up in this video, you must first understand why you feel the way you feel and why you can't let go. You've suffered a loss. There is a Grand Canyon-sized hole where your heart used to be, and there is a block of ice where your ex's heart used to be. This demotion from being the romantic partner to someone your ex used to know is brutal. It's like when you've been eating single stuffed Oreos all your life and someone gives you double stuffed Oreos. You just can't go back to eating single stuffed. It's impossible, just like you can't go back to being the friend. When you got with your ex and you assimilated them into your life, it opened a new and very large dopamine pathway which gave you an amazing high. But like with every drug, the bigger the high, the bigger the calm down. Like any addict that just lost their supplier, you're going to have massive withdrawal symptoms, loss of appetite, insomnia, nihilism, chronic anxiety, uncontrollable shaking. Hell, I've even had diarrhea with some of my breakups. And if that wasn't fucking bad enough, food loses its taste, colours lose their colour, your bed feels like the loneliest place in the world, and you've lost 10 pounds because, well, you're on the breakup diet right now. We also have a weird aversion to loss, which means we will expend 10 times the amount of energy trying not to lose over using that energy to try and win. Your defeats linger in your brain far longer than your wins do. Essentially, winning feels good, but the pain of losing is so fucking bad. You're playing not to lose rather than playing to win. This will keep you stuck in the breakup mud, the swamp of anxiety and the pit of despair for months, and in many cases I have dealt with even years. And the crazy thing is, you can still get a dopamine response by thinking about your ex. Even though thinking about them hurts you like a motherfucker, you become hyper focused on only the good memories. This is called the Fad Effect Bias. A more popular phrase for the Fad Effect Bias is looking back on the past with rose-tinted glasses. This will cause you to romanticize their good bits no matter how few, and to ignore their bad bits no matter how numerous. We've all got that one friend or family member that is in a toxic relationship, and they will say crazy shit like, "They only hit me and said those things because they love me, but when everything is good, it's really good, they're really romantic, and I love it when they're romantic." My friends, this is an example of the Fad Effect Bias, totally ignoring all the bad shit and hanging on to that one time they were nice, like the first day or the first 6 months and so on. It's the idea you have of them in your head that you can't let go of. It's the fantasy of them that keeps you addicted and makes it feel impossible to let them go. As I said in the intro, you're grieving someone who is still alive, so the fantasy of them possibly coming back one day, Love Actually style, is keeping you firmly entrenched within the Fad Effect Bias. Hopefully that explanation has shifted your mindset on why you feel the way you feel. Now we can get into the business end of this video. What are the practical things you can do right now to let go of your ex? Tip number 1, you must vanish off the face of the earth. This will work for letting go, or if you want to reconcile, you must disappear like a fart in the wind until you find yourself. Not only will this help neutralize the effect your ex has over you, but the best way to get someone else's attention is to remove yours completely. You must get off the grid, go underground, incommunicado. This will also help with normalizing the dopamine pathway I mentioned earlier, so you won't feel like a hippie on weed. And it doesn't stop there. This also means removing all access you have to them: social media, Find My iPhone, Spotify playlists, shared YouTube accounts, delete the pictures on your phone, and so on. Unfollow, unfriend, and unfuck yourself. If you can't do it, then ask a friend to log into your accounts and change your passwords. This will remove the drug you're addicted to, allowing you to treat the cause and not just the symptoms. Personally, I have somewhat of a scorched earth policy when it comes to breakups. I don't just vanish. I throw away everything they ever bought me: clothes, gifts, bed sheets, lamps, pillows, and so on. During my last breakup, I threw away some expensive shit, but it was a necessary evil. And if you're saying to yourself, I can't do that, well, you can. You're just choosing not to right now, and that's okay. People only change when the pain of staying the same is no longer an option. So in that context, maybe you do have to wait for the pain to get to a certain threshold before you will actually take this advice on board. Tip number 2 is understanding that your imagined future with your ex no longer exists, and that's pretty damn brutal. Your logical brain knows this, but your feeling brain doesn't want to hear about it. In fact, the feeling brain cannot tell the difference between fantasy and reality, and therefore, your feeling brain still thinks the relationship is, well, alive and kicking, and it wants you to go back. To help get you out of what I call the negotiation mode, that's where you will do all the mental gymnastics and rumination on how you can change yourself to be more desirable for your ex. I want you to think of 5 things you hate about your ex right now. This will be highly unique to everyone listening, so you're going to have to use your imaginations just a little bit. I mean, I can't do everything for you guys. I mean, get off my fucking back. But I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to give you a few tips in this one. Just think about how stupid their face looked when they brushed their teeth. Any bad habits they had, like drinking, smoking, eating too much, leaving the toilet seat up. All those times they invalidated you, and so on. When you have the 5 things you hate about them, replay them back to back in your mind repeatedly. Feel how you felt when those things were happening. Remember the sounds, the smells, the atmosphere, how you felt scared and invalidated. The idea is to create a new pathway in your mind that makes them less appealing. This will allow you to escape the Fad Effect Bias that we spoke about earlier. Tip number 3. A breakup is a terminal diagnosis that will give you a new life if you allow it to. I mentioned earlier how we feel more pain from our losses than pleasure from our wins. This can prevent this rebirth process taking place, but this is where you must be brave and walk into the pain. It's time to play to win and not just to survive. Take this instrument of pain and use the dirty breakup fuel it provides to propel you forward. Every loss and every failure is an opportunity to validate yourself. Try to separate yourself from the situation and celebrate your transition from where you were with them to how great you're going to be without them. So right now, I want you all to validate yourselves. Tell yourself the following: I feel shit, and that's okay. I lost someone I still love and I want them back, and that's okay. They meant a lot to me and I didn't want this breakup, and that's okay. My friends, it's okay to eat the full fat ice cream and watch the rom-coms on Netflix. Ben & Jerry's ice cream and Forgetting Sarah Marshall is the best ice cream breakup film combination in the world. After 3 months of doing that, you'll be so sick and tired of that routine, pulling teeth would be preferable and you will want to move on from there. Now we've validated ourselves, we're going to separate. Who are you without your ex? What does that even look like? Where do they finish and you begin? Did their hobbies become your hobbies? Did their routine become your routine? Did their favourite pastimes become yours? Were you going to places like restaurants where you hated the food and bars when you don't even drink just to keep them happy? Now we've separated ourselves from our exes, it's time to celebrate and be happy. You might not be there just yet, but when you do arrive, it will feel great. You're free. Your ex saying no to you means you can say yes to everything else. You now have ample space to find something bigger and better than your ex. I've completed this process several times in my life, and I can tell you this: Every breakup I've had sucked fucking balls. It sucked as the dumper and it sucked as the dumpy, but each one needed to happen. There can still be love between you and your ex, but the breakup can still be the right decision. I have been grateful for each and every breakup because it forced me to improve and break through limits I didn't even know I had. If they come back, they found the better version of me. If they didn't come back, then the new dates and relationships were treated to the new version of me. Either way, the goal is to always get you back because that will never fail to produce results. Destruction breeds growth, and growth has growing pains. The entire history of humanity has been loss, struggle, and resilience, and it's gotten us all to this point. It's not something to be feared, it's something to be celebrated. It's going to be painful no matter which direction you choose, but if you follow the advice in this video, you can choose your pain, and that, my friends, is the secret sauce. Everyone's secret sauce is different, but true power over one's life isn't acknowledging that it hurts, it's not minding that it hurts and moving forward anyway, baby step by baby step. And that is all I've got for today. If you've liked this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit like and subscribe. And if you need my help with your personal breakup situation, hit the link in the description below and it will take you to my services. I will see you on the other side.